Hello, everyone, and welcome to Monday's Live at 5. Good news. I'm not going to do a winter painting today. We're going to do something from a warmer time in a warmer climate. So this is something that happened to me on my way through the forum. This is the Triumphal Arch of Titus Vespasian, and stick around to the end and we'll excoriate the current political situation in talking about the history of this. But the big topic I want to do today is things that we can do to make the process of painting more fun, less white knuckle, simplify things that seem complicated and not worry about things that we typically worry about. So with that, I'm going to jump right into the drawing. You can see it's architectural. The way to approach this thing, hello Renee, is it's basically a big box of cereal or Cheez-Its. It's nowhere near as interesting as most of the other buildings around it, which are in ruins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for my key horizontals, which lean. I'll hold a pencil to them, or hold pencils to them so I can see the lean. The key horizontals, which again aren't horizontal. We're going up to the Palatine Hill here and up there to the Capitoline. So, boom, 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 boom. Okay. That's a little bit of lean to that. Not as much. This. I'm not worried about the proportions just yet. I adjust. Hi, Mickey. So, one of the things that's been troubling me artistically over the last couple of years is whether, what the heck, is painting even worth it? I mean, crazy as the world is, do we even have a reason for being? So having found those big lines, I'm going to find the lines that are inside of it. So the arch. That line is important, that base line there. Now we notice that this one is almost eye level. This one tilts down. This one starts to tilt. It's about eye level. I'm going to do the front of the building first, or the front of this structure first. So you notice, just hold a pencil. Don't worry about the rules of perspective. We don't have to consider those just yet. And you can adjust. Once you've got it done, you can adjust. I'm drawing it lightly. We got a stairwell here. Holding a pencil. Maybe I'll use my blue one. That'll be easier to see. Now, these lines connect to those lines. And I want to make sure I get the general proportion correct. Looks like this could go a little higher because this small, medium, large. Very simple. Just look for those things like this. Don't get fussed on the, because it's all changeable. Small, medium, large. Again. And we'll get into the little details. The one thing we do not want to do, hello, Janet. How are you? Haven't seen you for a while. Is not try to do an outline like one of these ladybugs that are still out there coming through the windows. would crawl around the outside of this thing. So we'll tighten it up later once we get our things right. So I'm going to start trying to darken these things up. And then the other thing I'm going to want to do is I am going to, well, I'm glad you're doing good, Janet. We all need to do good. But anyway, what I was saying is I have a nagging feeling, is doggone it, is painting even, and it's like kind of, I feel like so much craziness going on. I mean, why do we even think we should be doing this kind of stuff? And then what I realized about this subject with regards, as I was walking through the forum, that what makes this even work, because like I said, it's just a cereal box. What makes it work is the light. Light redeems anything. It made this interesting, the way the light was falling on it late in the afternoon, the reflected light in the shadow. The darks only serve to be a accent that corroborates what the light does for it. So my feeling going forward is that I only want to execute situations which celebrate or study light and dark. And as I think of that, what I find is, right from the beginning, that's all I was interested in. I just didn't know it. It isn't the subject. It's the light on it. Hi, Carol. You remember this day. Oh, Carol, you remember how hot it was? Look at this girl. She's carrying a shearling coat. It's something that we ought to be wearing here today. and they're not light. She must have had that on in the morning or something, because who knows? Anyway, light and dark, light and dark. If when you paint, you're only thinking about light and dark, you can do quite a lot. So I'm going to start getting into some of the details of the architecture here. There's these things. Basically, like I say, it's a cereal box or a Cheez-Its box with little architectural embellishments, which if it didn't have it, it'd be very uninteresting. So the history of this place is this arch commemorates the victory of Titus Vespasian, who was a Roman general, the son of the Vespasian, the emperor, and this guy became emperor later. And this arch, if you go underneath and see it, commemorates the sack of Jerusalem back in 70 AD, when he very triumphantly thought he had solved the Middle East problem in Palestine for good. But he didn't, because 65 years later, they had to go back and mow the lawn so to speak. Yeah. Yeah, Carol, you're probably right. Anyway, I dare say most of you have probably never even heard of this guy. But the whole event, the sacking of Jerusalem, was predicted in some rather explicit detail by a renegade rabbi who subsequently got sideways with the authorities there in Palestine and the Roman authorities. And nobody remembers Titus Vespasian, but twice a year, Walmart employees have to change out the stock because of what the renegade rabbi did. So I'm going to do this stairwell now. Oh, let's get this pile of stone here. So first I find that angle, the angle of the plane that the stairs are on. Then I'll draw the stairs, and then I'll just put in the drop from the stairs. Now there's a walk of some sort here, and there's some trees, those beautiful trees of Rome. Those pines, those very unusual pines that I don't really see them here in America. Checking my angles to make sure they stay constant. Okay, now, that is probably about as far as I want to go with the drawing, because all this little gewgaw detail on this thing, I am going to try to paint in as opposed to draw in and then fill in later. So I'm going to erase any construction lines that I'm not really interested in at this point. I want to make these things happen. Oops, I need to get a little bigger there. I think I'm going to put these two girls in. I think it's nice to, back also over here, I'm going to leave some little specks for, to give some scale, to show that there are people here. And I think I'm going to include these girls. I'm going to plus their hearts. One of them's dressed in maroon and the other one's dressed in teal. It's like they knew how to compliment each other with their dress. So, okay. Now, our plan for painting. Just to make it simple. I'm not going to worry about all those crazy little details, because what we've got here is something that I always look for is disguise points. So if a little bit of the blue, which is darker than this, first of all, I say, okay, it's all about light and dark. That's light. This is dark. That's very dark. This is kind of, well, actually, that's pretty dark too. If you squint, that almost drops in with these strong darks over here. So well, you know what, now I'm looking at it, and I'm going to make sure more or less oh, one thing I didn't mention here. iPhone photos tend to really do this. It kind of distort a bit that anytime you're shooting upwards, it will kind of exaggerate that a bit. I'm trying to draw it, in case you're wondering, well, it doesn't look like, that should maybe be a little further down or something like that. This angle is a lot steeper than what I've got. I'm trying to do more what I think I remember, or the way it looked from my eyeball, rather than the phone's way of looking at the thing. So, okay, no, there I go. I'm trying to draw detail that I shouldn't be drawing. So, the colors. I've smuggled in a new color here because I know I'm probably not going to use the cad yellow. This is Jaune Brilliant by Holbein. I think it's going to do a pretty good job of mimicking this color here. It's the stone in Rome. It's just the hardest color to try and get right. Yellow ochre doesn't do it. Raw sienna doesn't do it. The umbers don't do it. So since Jaune Brilliant is so hard to pronounce, I'm going to call it Raw Rome, because it looks like that Roman stone to me. Now, I'm going to turn it upside down and do the blue of the sky, because I want it to be a little lighter here and a little darker there. So I'm going to, because the board's at a 45-degree angle like this, that gravity will help me pull the blue down, I hope. Also, again, I don't have to worry about blue getting into here, because this is darker and green is just blue and yellow, or blues and yellows. And if a little bit of the blue gets into that area where it's dark, I can disguise it by coming on with the darker, browner color. So those are the sort of things that I use to reduce tension and create the, white knuckle, oh my God, how am I going to get this right? sort of experience. Painting should be fun. It should express positivity. And the light does that beautifully. So, cerulean blue, kind of my go-to sky color, which is, I guess, why they call it cerulean. And of course, this will have to be a runny mix. And I'm going to try to go a little darker than I normally do. Maybe I'll even add in a bit as I get to the bottom, maybe even throw in a bit of ultramarine. So I'll keep it this runny as I start here. Now, another thing, I've got two sides to this thing, and because water runs downhill in a straight line, I don't have to worry about, if I were painting this flat and I was trying to paint blue across here, boy, it would get in there all crazy. So putting the board at an angle, that helps. Doesn't have to be 45 degrees, but enough jawbone, and here we go. So I'm starting it down here, leave a bead, same over here, leave a bead, Add some blue to get a little darker. Pick up the bead. Whoop, don't worry about the runs. Just add a bit more paint. I'm going to start throwing in the ultramarine now. Surface is wet, so I can get away with this. If I'm lucky. We'll see. Now, rinse. Blot the brush. Try to pick up the excess. Might have got a little carried away there. But what I'm going to do is get rid of that. I'm squeezing the brush out and running it along the tape to mop up the excess as it runs down there. Now I'm going to turn it over. And maybe some of that'll... Ooh, we'll see. We'll see. Oh, there we go. There's a problem. Should have mopped down the side here too. That's okay, because there's going to be a tree there. Don't worry about it, John. Don't worry about it. And this is trees down here. I just need some. Now, rinse that brush. Clean it off good. Get all the blue out. Oh, thank you, Renee. Like I say, it's a cereal box. So always see if you can figure out what is the what would you call it? Component shape that makes a thing. Is it a cylinder? Is it a cone? Is it a triangle? Is it a box? Is it a rectangle? Is it a square? You can always break it down to something similar. So I'm going to get some of the Jaune Brilliant, or the raw Rome. I'm going to put a little bit of yellow ochre in it. And I'm going to go to, down the light lit side of the arch. Through the dark parts. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of that blue, smuggle it on over here because there's a tree causing a shadow. So again, I've got a wet edge, and I'm going to put a little, the tiniest bit of orange in this, and pull it down here. Well, maybe even a little bit of something red. Oh, that's maybe too red. Put it in with the yellow, the raw Rome. Leave some little white light specks over here for some people. Now the other side, interesting color. I'm going to, again, the lavender. I'm mixing it into here. And on this side, I'm going to put a bit of that in there, because there is a shadow being cast that comes even over to here. Blot that, rinse that, get back into the Jaune Brilliant with maybe a little bit of yellow ochre so that's different from here. And I'm going to bring it down here and onto the steps and all through here because there's darks in here. Oh, maybe I should just go straight Jaune Brilliant there. I could possibly pull a shadow across. See, I'm interested in light. I'm not interested in stuff. That's what I'm interested in. So, lavender. Now, when I go down this side, this is a little bit drier now. This is just a little bit wet. Let's put some red in that or something else. Oops. I want it bluer, 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 bluer. More than one color here. I want it to separate and do all these crazy neat things because I'm seeing pinks at the bottom, so I'm throwing in some reds. Over here it doesn't really matter because there's trees. I do need to come over here. Now while it's still wet, I'm going to get a smaller brush, the Oriental brush, my go-to brush. I'm going to try to tighten up some of these areas. And this will have the additional effect. Let's leave some light around our girls. Of keeping that edge wet. So this is a little slower moving mix of paint. But now I'm going to start putting some brown into that. In this case, the burnt sienna. Up here, going to get that same mix, maybe some yellow ochre and some burnt sienna. These warmer colors, these warmer, boy, this brush is losing hairs. I better get maybe another one. I got to do this while it's still, well, I shouldn't do that side. I should just do this side. Yep, see, this is still damp, and this will help me. So I'm going to start trying to suggest some of the architectural detail on this brush, on this monstrosity. Oh boy. Let's keep it wet. Just applying a damp brush at this point. The surface is wet, the paint will move. So where there's water, there's life. So I got to keep that going all the way down or I'll get a blotch. So back into our cool colors, because there's like, how do you say it? There's cool colors and warm colors going on here at the same time. There's blues, there's reds, there's, I'm going to get some trees even, because they're going to be a different color later. So I'm not fussed. Get a little, whoop. That's definitely too pink. Let's get a little bit of that. Move it over here. Fun, gonna have some fun. Above all else, enjoy yourself. You didn't have fun, the viewer will pick up on it immediately. Okay, let's start fooling around over here a bit more. This brush, I'm going to have to get something that's a little less floppy. So I'm going to start trying to do the inside of the arch. The inside of the arch goes from a brownish to a cool color, so I'm going to try to do what I was doing here. Still wet. I'm going to play with it some. I'm going to even underpaint the trees here. I like to do this to help me see the structure of the thing. This is where I might actually even put in some my oddball yellowish color. Oh, I do see some pink in here. It's probably not showing. Good question, Mickey. Like I say, that stone on so many of the buildings in Rome. Now notice I'm putting this yellowish color all through because there's going to be darker colors going on top. Leaving some light spots, which I hope I can make into people. Particularly on the shade side, because the light was very, very strong. It was a warm day, very warm day. And so when you have strong light, the shade gets illuminated somewhat. And light bounces back into it. So, you know, that color, that oddball yellow color, that nickel quinacridone gold, is not bad for this. It's not bad at all. Now up here, yeah, I'm going to use it, doggone it. Just look for shapes. The main thing is, where is the shape? Get that right, you're pretty much home. Then get the value of the shape. The value being how dark or how light. So these darker bits that I'm seeing now, which are not the darkest bits, if I get a little bit of blossoming over here, all the better, because it'll look like old, I hope, old stone. But to go back to Mickey's question, I am playing too. You know, because I do want to have fun. I don't want this to be a white knuckle. Oh God, am I getting it right? Oh geez. Okay, now that inside of that arch quite dark, and I'm going to start out with a dark burnt sienna. And then I'm going to get some blue of some sort and touch into it. And then I'm going to start getting into that lavender color. And then I'm going to start adding more of that lavender color and a little more water to this, because I'm getting closer to the ground and I feel like there's more reflected light getting into the situation. And I might even, a little of one, a little of the other. Just see, I see it brownish, bluish lavender back to a brownish mix in there. So the shade of that tree, so I got to go back and get some brown. The surface is wet here, which is what's letting me do this color mixing. And I'm going to leave out this guy that looks like Stephen Miller. Now, I think I want to bring across, with a little more of that lavender, and perhaps even a bit of that magenta, a shadow as if there were a tree. Because as I remember, there were trees, but there were also potted plants everywhere that looked like they were, could be moved. Now over here we've got a dark bluish brownish blues and browns make interesting dark mixes. Probably shouldn't be attempting gosh, some of that might even look good up in here. Even down in here. While it's still wet, see, I can put that in there and it'll melt out or melt in. Oh my goodness. No, not yet, not yet. Our two young ladies. I'm going to put them mostly in shadow. I'm going to put a little bit more of that lavender with the magenta into down here. I don't think I really need that railing, so I'm not going to use it. I do like that color, plus a little of this color, to try and get this very dark area under here. and some of that. And maybe get a little browner as I get to the corner of this thing. So you notice I mix into the side of the puddle. And that seems to be helpful. There was a stair over here, but we're going to obscure that because it's a little further away, right? Here we go. Just having fun, just having fun. So where the stairs drop onto one another, do that. Okay. There is kind of a dark there, isn't there? Now, these are the bigger shapes. I'm going to go back and I'm going to get some of that nickel quinacridone gold color. And I'm going to start trying to refine some of the architectural details over here. Now it looks like up there on this side there's a bit more shadow. Coming down to this area here, there, in here. Just looking for where I see darks, where do I see lights. There's some sort of like Corinthian column business there. Now you could be way more specific about these things, but not at this scale. Again, this is definitely one of those things you have to be mindful of the scale that you're working at when you execute small details. Otherwise, they're just going to stick out like the brush marks that they are on their own and not drop back in and look like light and shadow, which is what I'm after all the time. Okay. I do need to come up with something that's more dry brushed. And I'm going to use this little brush. Stab it in there and get the what's really cool is that there are layers and layers and layers of one part of Rome that was built on top of another. Look at that. And the guide told us that during the time of Mussolini, he had it excavated so they could, getting some brownish blue. He had it excavated because all of this was kind of almost filled in with dirt from centuries of the Tiber River flooding and causing issues. And just filling in with sediment. So there's some sort of arch under here. Now, the next bigger shapes, before I go into the two tiny things, I might get a couple here. Where is it? Where is it? A little bit of this, a little bit of that. You can grab it while it's still wet. You can melt in the color that you're painting to the color that you previously painted. If it's past that stage, and sometimes it will be, then something you can do is dampen the area with a wet brush. I'm going to have to go back and do some of that. Okay, the trees. The trees are what's going to make this light really pop. Hey, thank you, Jimmy. So I'm going to use Prussian blue or neutral tint and this nickel yellow to get a deep, deep, deep dark. And, oh, you notice there's a tangent here. I am going up past that to frame the building a little better. So it's kind of like I squatted down or I stood on my tiptoes to get a different viewpoint. And again, just as I was doing with these other colors, I can float a little bit of the one color. When you mix two colors, you have the option of putting a little bit more of one in one part of the shape and a little bit more of the other in another part of the shape. So I could put a lot more Prussian blue down here at the bottom of the tree where there might be actually more shade. Now this group up here, see, I'm using I mentioned earlier that light redeems anything, makes it beautiful. And the dark really forms an accent that corroborates the beauty of the light. Okay, here we're getting there, a little more of the, so you can see those two colors kind of, that's the so-called yellow component. Put a little bit more of that at the top where it might be receiving more light, or in the front because the light's coming in this way. I even see a bit of that in these places. Maybe it's like some moss or lichen or who knows what. Then down here at the bottom, I'm just going to really bang in with that Prussian blue. Try to leave the heads of the people. It was a hot day, man, and the tour crowds were, they were desperately trying to get into the shady areas, which were few and far between. Okay, I think that keep the background in the back. Don't let it upstage. Maybe a bit of that under there. Bit of that over here. We're closing in, but I really should get up here. So that's mostly this weird yellow. Where it's darker, let's see. Check to see if one end of something isn't darker than the other. Very often it is. It's a good thing to know. So, like up here. Or here. Or there. More of the, more of the warmer color here. There was some kind of carving that was figures and whatnot. Oh, now that, I think, would look better in the bluish color. Well, thank you, Carol. Well, it was well, you were there. You know, what an amazing, amazing experience that was. I'll never forget it. They don't call it the Eternal City for nothing. Just some little white spots for might be people. I think I'm going to get some, well, the girl was wearing like magenta or red. Just going to touch in, suggest that her top was red, and the other girl's top was like teal, so I'm going to get some turquoise, and red and turquoise always look good together, just little blips. Uh-oh, I made some kind of funky thing there. Let's keep going, make sure I've got some, my darks are dark where I need them. Okay, I could do a little bit of careful splatter over here for that centuries piles of stuff. Well, thank you, Michael. Do go if you ever get the chance, not to be missed. I mean, there was so much stuff in this general vicinity, and you just look at it, oh my God, you know, that's 1,000 years there, another 1,000 years over here. Just absolutely stunning. And here we are today, and the light makes it all gorgeous. I want some strong shadow there. Okay, well, maybe just a few other little darkish marks up in here. Oh boy, yeah, I need some dentilated corbel, what's it? Oh, you're very welcome, Mickey. I just really, really enjoy tuning in with everybody once a week and having fun. Okay, let's peel and see if we're getting anything, or if it shows us something. So, like I say, you could go crazy with the architectural well, like I say, this place to me looked like a box, cereal box, which is an important thing to know when you're trying to draw it. And because that's the basic form that you're working with. And then when you get the basic shape, find the shapes within the major shape. And if it's architecture and there's perspective involved, just get them 2 pencils out or get 2 fingers out, or, hold them up to one side of the building and the other side of the building, the top of the building and the bottom of the building, so that you can actually see and feel what the difference in the angles is that make up the perspective from your viewpoint. Because otherwise we will just have a tendency to draw the thing mentally in terms of what we do know rather than what we do see. So this, there we go, tape's coming off. Okay, so you know what? I see something already. Thank you, Renee. Thank you. That's very kind. I'm going to, there's a lot of, I'm putting just water there, maybe some here too. And I'm going to get a very, very runny mix of paint and just feed it in there and let it drizzle. And it'll hopefully look like, 10 centuries worth of age. Yeah. Yeah, I need to put a little bit of gewgaw stuff up here. There's an inscription. One side, the back side, it's shape. Yeah, Janet, it's shapes. It's just shapes. And don't let them bully you or scare you. Figure out, oh, you're nothing but a cereal box. I can draw you. There we go. So, the triumphal arch of Titus Vespasian, who nobody remembers. And there was a little inscription up here from some pope that restored it because it was getting beat up. And like I say, it's a good illustration of the course of empire. I mean, this guy thought he had solved the Mideast problem by using force and blunt, oh, geez, if you read the accounts of it, it's just horrifying. And they built a monument to this clown. Nobody remembers him, but the thing has basically become a gigantic porta potty for pigeons. So there's the course of empire for you. So you guys, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that. Hope that was helpful. It's all about light and dark anymore, right? So everybody hang out there. Stay safe, stay sane, stay with the light. Peace out.